Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Riverfront. This is episode number 484 of the world's most dangerous podcast. I'm your host, Chad Dotson. This is the show where we discuss the Cincinnati Reds and occasionally Chris Dickerson. With me this week, your friend and mine, Chris Garber. How are you, Chris?
I'm very much.
It's been a while since we've had you here.
I've been banned, but apparently desperate times call for desperate measures, so here I am.
Yeah, I don't know what Nate has going on, but I do know that it is his birthday today, so I'll
well.
Reach out to young Nate and
68 years young.
Yeah, you know, he's they've been hard years, but he's doing okay. So let's talk about the week that was, I guess, a little bit. But first, I'm going to ask a question. Seriously, are you excited about the College World Series?
I could not be more excited. If I knew who the teams were that are in it, I might be more. I don't know if I'd be more excited or not.
Do you know? Can you name a single team that's in it? Just one team?
I can. Stanford University, Leland Stanford Jr.
That's the wrong team, Chris Garber.
Well, I saw them get in on that horribly fluky ball lost in the lights by the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, that seems like something that happened to the Reds. Well, can you name a second team that's in the College World Series?
Bethune-Cookman.
Bethune-Cookman. I'm not sure, actually. Come on. The University of Virginia Cavaliers. Obviously, you're not going to indulge my nonsense.
I'm not jumping on that. No.
So I'm going to ask you a serious question.
Right.
And you may think this is a dumb question, and tell me if you think so. But this is a serious question. When is the last time you had this much fun with watching the Cincinnati Reds? And you may not be having fun at all. If that's the case, say it. But
it's good, man. They're very fun. I've been thinking about this, and I remember at some point calling a Reds team fun, but I can't remember if it was 2012 or if it happened like for a very brief moment sometime after that. But gosh, they are exciting. They play hard. They don't give up. Like all the intangible stuff you always hear. I don't always believe that like good chemistry makes you win baseball games, but the way these guys play is entertaining and fun to watch. And I don't even care about anything else. It's an entertainment product and it's delivering on that right now.
Yeah. How many times have you said on this show over the years, you know, if you go to a pizza place and the pizza place continues to provide a poor product, you're not going to go back. And so I think I probably said as recently as 2021 that was a fun team, because that was a kind of a fun team, the Castellanos team, whatever. But in retrospect and comparing them to this team, I think just the young energy and there's something about this team. I don't know if they're good. They're close to being 500, but it's a situation where I'm like you. I never have known what to make of the intangible stuff and the chemistry, because every over history, the teams with the best chemistry somehow end up being the best teams.
Yeah,
in retrospect, they say they have good chemistry.
They all look very happy in that dog pile at the end of the season, don't they?
Right, exactly. But again, this team has major flaws, but you watch them play every night, and they do seem to be having fun, which I enjoy. And I don't know. I like tuning in to the team now.
I think I don't know if they're really good, but they can do some really good things. I mean, Matt McClain hit a home run last night, and it wasn't like, I still can't get over how a dude that little hits the ball that hard and that far. Because he hit that home run, and it wasn't just over the fence. It was like to the back of the stands.
Yeah.
I mean, just wham, 3-run home run. I mean, that guy, I keep like looking at his size and underestimating him, even though he's got the pedigree, he's a #1 pick. The dude's a really good baseball player.
Yeah, I've underestimated Matt McClain from day one. You know, I'll admit when I'm wrong. Not that I thought that he was bad necessarily, but I never thought that he had this much ability.
Yeah.
And for some reason, MLB.TV was acting funky this week, and I had to listen to the Royals broadcast one night, and they kept comparing Matt McClain to David Eckstein, the former. I can't even remember. It's been so long since he played, but the former Cardinals. Overrated player. Yeah. And I thought, wow. I mean, that guy was like, it's because of his size, I guess is what I'm saying. It's because of his size, but they're not even close to being similar players. McClain, he has a great approach at the plate. He's fast. He hits the ball hard. He's been the biggest. There's plenty to talk about with the rookies right now, but he's been the biggest revelation to me just because I kind of expected some of these other guys to be good. He's way better than I expected. And, yeah, it's fun to watch. What place are the Reds in right now?
I don't know.
You know that answer?
I don't think they're in first, and I don't think they're in last.
That's really all that matters. That's really all that matters. No, they are in third place in the National League's Central Division. This is first of all, this is crazy talk. We're here getting close to the end of June. Well, we're middle of June. We're right at the middle of June. The Reds are one game under 500, which sounds bad for some teams, but this is a club that lost 100 games last year, and they're a game and a half out of first place. Third place, a game and a half out of first place, literally could be in second place tomorrow, could be in first place the next day. Again, we'll keep saying this. I don't know if they're good because really it's a garbage division, and that's a big part of the reason there. But they're still hovering around 500, and I just don't know what to make of them. They're not good. They have many flaws, but they are fun.
I mean, then you see the difference, like when they play good teams. I think. I mean, it's not that long ago that the Yankees just skunked them.
Right, it was bad. Yes,
but like I said, I don't care when they get down 7-0. I'll turn it off. Come back tomorrow.
Right. Exactly. So, and that's part of what happened this week. They've won 5 games in a row. They've won 8 of their last 10. They are, as I said, 34-35 as we record this on Thursday night. As always, they didn't play today, so another day that they did not lose. And yes, they were playing against 2 last-place teams this week. They won 2 out of 3 in St. Louis, and they swept Kansas City. Now, I still can't believe that St. Louis has just dropped off a cliff like they have. It's just delightful. It's just delightful. But, yeah, they're playing 2 bad teams. But you know what? The Reds lost 100 games last year. The Reds were the team that was getting spanked in those games last year. So I don't care. A couple things about the games that were. Andrew Abbott in the St. Louis series, he made his second start of the season. That was Saturday. And another sort of impressive game for the Reds rookie left-hander. He 2 starts. He has not yet allowed a run. He has thrown 11 2/3 innings, and his ERA 0.00. He pitched 5 2/3 against the Cardinals, and no runs on 5 hits. Still walking too many hitters, and that's going to be an issue before long. But still, for a first 2 starts in the big leagues, he's like the 10th most exciting rookie on the team right now. But still, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah. He's something, man. We got to see him go through the league a few times and all that business, but he might well be a good one. I mean, we used to get all spun up about the Tony Cingranis of the world, and I think we've got a whole nother level of pitching prospect now.
Yeah, I think he might be a John Lamb. This is a deep cut for those of you that have been around a while. John Lamb with talent. I mean, look at Andrew Abbott. He looks like he drives a Trans Am. I'm almost certain he drives a Trans Am. So, the Kansas City series, the thing I guess that really I want to talk about here is the Ricky Karcher game. Now, I don't know if you were able to watch the Ricky Karcher game because it ended late, and a lot of people weren't able to tune in. Did you certainly saw the post-game interview and what happened, right?
I have enjoyed the post-game interview, and I've watched the replay of the last inning. But yeah, go ahead.
So Ricky Karcher, first of all, the Reds called up a player named Ricky Karcher. And you need to remember that name because he's now a Reds legend. The Reds drafted him in the 13th round, 2017. He's 25 years old. He was promoted to the big leagues, even though he had a 9.27 ERA in AAA. 9.27 ERA in AAA. Now, I didn't see this because I wasn't on the Twitters at the time, but evidently when that happened, another Reds AAA guy now on the big league roster, Daniel Duarte, evidently went nuts on Twitter, complaining. I still I'm not sure about the full story there, but complaining that they called up Ricky Karcher instead of him.
Maybe not a great look, really, is it?
It's not.
It's not what you want from your teammate. But Duarte got his chance. He got his chance. His wishes were granted. How'd it work out?
He vomited all over the mound, basically. Back to Karcher just for a minute. I can't describe this. You really just need to go watch it if you didn't see it already. And most of you probably have if you're listening to this show. But he could not throw a strike. And it was not just that he couldn't throw a strike. Kirk Casale was literally leaping into the air to try to catch some of these. I don't know how 4 different pitches didn't go to the backstop. I mean, it was the most – his slider was pretty good, and that's the only thing that he could throw a strike with. His fastball got up to 98 miles an hour, 98.4 or something, but he could not throw it in the strike zone. It was crazy.
He was spraying it all over the place. It was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable, but he somehow picks up the save in his major league debut.
You mentioned the post-game interview, and I mean, I think anybody that watched that was kind of in a state of like dazed bemusement. And his teammates were, I don't know how you describe their emotions, but they were very entertained by the whole affair. And almost all of them stayed in the dugout to watch him get interviewed by Jim Day on the field.
Yeah, and go ahead.
No, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to kind of unpack this just a little bit. It's because it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about chemistry and that they seem like they're having fun. I mean, he looked like he was in a daze. I was laughing uproariously from my sofa when I was watching his interview. He's just like, I don't know, and this is like a movie, but yeah, all the players were in the dugout and they're like laughing at him and cheering him on. It was amazing.
So one of two things is really what I think what happened. One is like it was an incredible inning. He had no business getting out of it with the lead intact. And he was in a state of shock and happiness. And his teammates were kind of in the same place. But the interview he gave was, it would be like if you interviewed a guy who'd gotten kicked in the head by a donkey. Like he just, his vocabulary had been pared down to about 6 words. And he wasn't able to finish a sentence. And he just kept sighing and looking at Jim Day, hoping Jim Day would put some words in his mouth, I think. So I suppose it's possible that maybe that's how he is anyway. And those guys really were entertained by the idea of him being interviewed. I'm not positive which way it is, but either way, it was great.
I think there's some element of that because at AA Chattanooga last year, his I guess it's not walk-up music. What is it for a pitcher when you come in? Entrance music or something, but whatever. It was, Wild Thing. And so this is,
that wasn't the first night.
Right. Yeah. So no, it was literally my favorite moment of the season so far. It was just incredible. And then the next day, they sent him down to AAA and bring up Daniel Duarte, who vomited all over his jersey. So Daniel Duarte. So anyway, I enjoyed it, and I hope he makes it back to the big leagues, Karcher. I'm not rooting against anyone, but I do kind of like the story about this being his only big league appearance, and he gets a save in his only big league appearance. No, I hope he makes it back. He does have a good fastball and a good slider. Just he can't throw the fastball in the strike zone, evidently. Oh goodness.
I want to get a printout. They have that image that shows where all the pitches were, like in relation to the batter's box and the plate and the strike zone.
Oh yeah.
I kind of want to print that out and hang it up on my wall. There's just a big gap right where the strike zone is.
Oh my! It really. If you haven't seen it yet, I wish I'd have uploaded here so we could display it on the show. But I don't do that much prep work. But it's hilarious. It's crazy.
There's like three dots on like the batter's head.
Yeah. I've never seen so many dots on that graph. So high or just man, Ricky Karcher. He's probably my favorite player now. We'll never forget Ricky Karcher. I guess since we're talking about what happened this week and what's going on with the rookies, we have to spend some time talking about Elly De La Cruz because Elly De La Cruz he's Elly De La Cruz. But he had one moment there after in the middle of his first week where he's like, 6 straight strikeouts, and then he came back and he was doing great, and he's now in another little bit of we're sort of hyper analyzing like Elly De La Cruz, but. 9 games, 235 average, 350 on base, 412 slugging. He has a double, he has a triple, he has a homer, he has 5 stolen bases already. I don't know if there's much else to say because we wax poetic about Elly De La Cruz on this show every week, but I don't know if you had any particular thoughts about this guy because I've not talked to you about it.
Yeah, I he's got to go through adjustments and growing pains, and the league's going to figure him out, and he's going to have to come up with plan B and make them eventually throw pitches that he wants them to throw, or learn to hit the pitches they want to throw. But I'm feel really good about so far about how fast seems to be learning and adjusting and figuring out what they're trying to do to him. He seems to have. I mean, he's not Joey Votto, and he's never going to be Joey Votto, but he does have an idea in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jose Barrero has been on this team for 3 years now, and Aristides Aquino was on this team for 4 years, and I feel like De La Cruz already has a more advanced feel for the strike zone and idea of what pitchers are trying to do to him than those guys ever did, or Willie Mo Pena. I mean, there's a lot of guys who just had physical tools and never seemed to have the way to work and think through an at-bat that I think De La Cruz is going to be fine.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. He's the last person I'm worried about for that reason. You watch this kid, and he does have a clue at the plate. And yes, sometimes he swings wildly at some pitches, but you can also see him you can kind of see the wheels turning in his head that, oh, wait a minute, I'm not going to strike. I'm not going to swing at that pitch anymore. I'm going to make them pitch to me. And yeah, it's going to be a push and pull, but man, that part of it actually, that sort of granular watching him improve day to day is, I used to always say, watch Joey Votto every day because you just cherish what you get because you're not going to see it again. And you're right. He's not Joey Votto, but it's that sort of same. This is such a special talent that every single at bat is kind of must watch TV. I think.
Yeah. Put it. You know who who just popped in my mind. Sorry, is Vladimir Guerrero Sr.
Oh, there you go. Interesting.
It's a guy who he's gonna swing at bad balls, but he's gonna hit bad balls.
He's so talented.
I mean, the ball that De La Cruz hit for a home run was a ball, like really way out of the strike zone. But he can do things like that. So, he should go ahead and do it.
It's not a perfect comp, but it's a really interesting way to kind of contextualize the Elly De La Cruz thing. Because Vladimir Guerrero, every analytics guy was like, you're swinging too many pitches outside the zone. You're never going to be, but he was so great that he could do that. Now, no one else can do that. Joey Votto couldn't swing at those pitches and be a great player.
Yep.
As great as Joey Votto is. So it's an interesting comp. If Elly De La Cruz can get closer to Joey Votto's command of the strike zone, he's going to be, he's going to be, I'm not going to say Hall of Famer for a kid that's played here 9 games, but let me ask you this. Because we are basically the same age here. Have you ever seen a more exciting Reds prospect?
I probably Davis is the only one that's even close. Davis, if you remember, we were kids, but he got jerked around a lot.
Wait, who is this? Kenny Davis? I don't know who you're talking about.
Kenny Davis, yes. Kip Davis. Eric Davis got called up. He got sent down. He got called up. He got sent down. And he finally got called back up to stay. And for a long time, you never got much more than a little bit of hints of what his ability could be.
Yeah.
And, Pete Rose was trying to win games and trying to break records and wasn't the greatest manager. They don't think they handled Davis real well his first couple of years, but that's the only person who's in the same conversation as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you'll hear people call Ellie a unicorn because there's no one else like him right now. And that's basically what Eric Davis was back in the day. No one could do the things he could do.
Yeah.
He could do everything. And, the injuries or whatever, people kind of, he never became the guy that you expected him to be, although he had a great career. But, I think about that 1987 season. Just Willie Mays was saying, I'm honored to be compared, to be mentioned in the same breath as Eric Davis. So that's the only guy I can think of. And the Reds have had, like Jay Bruce, was a number one prospect in baseball, but
he was a baseball player. You know what I mean? Like you'd seen players like Jay Bruce.
Right. Yeah. And
really
he was a good
players.
One.
Yeah. You're like, oh, Jay Bruce is kind of like Larry Walker without the speed, maybe. You know what I mean? Dale Cruz, there's no comp. You're a physical specimen, Billy Hamilton, Josh Hamilton. You saw some pretty cool stuff. We've seen some cool stuff for fans of a team that hasn't won much. We have seen some cool players. But
that's true.
Dale Cruz is almost as fast as Billy Hamilton. And he has as much power as Adam Dunn. And he's got an arm like, I don't know, Jose Guillen.
Right.
Like, name this tool, and he's as good as anybody. And he switch hits. I know. Yeah, you guys have heard all this stuff before. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. It's just you want to stop and watch it.
No, I marvel over what he is and what he can be. And is he going to get where we think he can get? Nobody knows, but that's going to be fun to watch in the coming years. But I've just never seen anyone with this combination of tools wearing a Cincinnati Reds uniform, with the possible exception of Paul Janisch. Paul Janisch was close. No, I just wanted to say Paul Janisch. Soft J. All right. So I'm gonna mention something that I probably shouldn't, because I've had a lot of people yelling at me about Will Benson all year because I said some nice things about Will Benson before the season. But I'm just going to, I don't know if you may not have any opinion about Will Benson, and if you don't, that's fine. Just we'll move on to the next topic. But I just have to say, Will Benson is everything I said he was before the season, and I'm still loving the walk-off home run he had and the reaction he had. I don't know. I put this on our list to talk about because I wanted to talk about Will Benson. Now I don't really have words because I know that his numbers aren't great, but he's been looking pretty good lately.
I don't know what he's going to be as a player. I just like him as a person. I saw an interview with him during spring training that he just was a likable kid. Seemed to get it, if as much as vague as that phrase is. And yeah, I was so pumped up for that walk off, and I loved how happy he was, how happy his teammates were. I mean, that's what I enjoy, is watching these guys interact with each other and just kind of be a part of a team.
Yeah. And again, it comes back to this thing. Maybe this is the chemistry episode of the show. I don't know, but seeing how happy the guys are for him, I don't know why that should matter to me as a fan. Why I should care that they all seem like they're having fun. But it's more fun for me when they're having fun. And I don't know, he's not going to be a star, Will Benson. But I guess my hope is that he can become a Cesar Geronimo, and not apples to apples comparison, but just a good enough guy with some really good guys around him. I don't know if that makes any sense, but and that's a terrible comp, really. But I would like to see him become part of the core here, even if he's not the top level. Matt McClain. If someone had told you 3 months ago that we'd be at the middle of July and Matt McClain would be leading the Reds in all-star votes? He'd be the leading vote getter for the Cincinnati Reds.
Is that true?
It's absolutely true. How is that possible?
I don't know how that's possible.
I mean, I think he's.
How is he even on the ballot?
Well, that's the first question. He wasn't called up until May. He's number 4 on the list for shortstops so far, despite coming up again in May. It's crazy. You know who has the next highest vote total?
Please.
I'm not going to make you guess because you won't get this. Number 9 on the third baseman list, Nick Senzel. Nick Senzel. And
I still don't understand how Gillette had time to print all those All-Star ballots. The punch holes.
Right.
With Matt McClain's name. Nick Senzel.
Really.
Is he still on the Reds?
He's on a rehab assignment right now.
What happened?
AAA. Well, he was injured. Nick Senzel got injured.
Nick Senzel?
Hold on. Come on. I know you don't believe me now, but trust me. This is a fact.
He got hurt?
Injured. Yeah.
Playing baseball?
Well, I wonder what the record is for the highest number of rehab assignments in one career. I'd like to know that number. I'll call it the Guinness Book to see what I can find out.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. I'd say Nick Massett might be on there.
Oh, Nick Massett.
Frank Williams.
Oh, man. Sean Marshall.
I don't think he ever made it that far.
He didn't even get to a rehab assignment.
Did he ever play again? He never did he?
I don't think so. He was talented.
Yeah, I like that deal too.
I would. I hope no one ever does this, but you go back to like the early days of this show. This is episode 484. Go back to like 120 and hear what positive things we were saying about guys like Nick Massett and Sean Marshall. And I don't know about Nick Massett. I never really cared for that guy because he came over in that awful trade, right?
No. He was a guy that was around. You're thinking of Gary Majeski.
Oh, I am thinking of Gary Majeski.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was
first Gary Majeski reference in a long time. Yeah, Gary Majeski and Bill Bray. Bill Bray has something in common with you, actually. That's right.
He went back and got his law degree.
He did. Good school that my son decided to reject. I don't know what that's all about.
He's becoming a Polytechnic man.
Oh, mercy. It's true. I guess we should announce it publicly. Yes, my son is going to Virginia Tech. That's okay. I'm happy for him.
Gobble.
He's excited. I'm excited. I'm going to wear a Virginia Tech cap on this show.
He's going to enjoy it.
Yeah. No, he's going to have a great time. It's perfect for him. So anyway, whatever. Roster moves from the week. Let me just run through these really quickly. There's not a whole lot to say about any of them. Reds sent Will Myers to AAA on a rehab assignment along with Nick Senzel. We have a question later, so we don't need to get into it. But what even is the point of Will Myers right now, I think is the question. Graham Ashcraft was, when Ricky Karcher was brought up, Graham Ashcraft was put on the injured list with an inflamed ERA.
What's his deal? What's his deal, Chad?
That's the question. What's his deal? I don't know. I hope this is a terrible thing to say, but I hope he's really hurt. It's a horrible combination of words to use.
Yeah. Actually hurt.
Right. I hope that's actually the reason why he's not been so good. I mean, he and not just that the league has adjusted to him and he's not been able to adjust back. So I don't know. I'm still pretty high on him. I'm starting to kind of drift back into my original thoughts that he's going to be a really good relief pitcher. And I don't know that I believe that yet, but I don't know. Do you have any thoughts?
I don't know. He never got in trouble with the sticky business, did he?
No. Okay. I don't. That's not the issue. I don't think.
Okay.
So anyway, I wish I had more to say about Graham Ashcraft, but I just don't know. Reds did place Jake Fraley on the injured list this week and brought back from the injured list TJ Friedl. And I guess just a couple of words about TJ Friedl right now. I wrote about him early in the year, and I proposed that as a topic at Cincinnati Magazine because I was like, well, it's TJ Friedl. This is probably the only time I'll get a chance to write about him. He's doing well now. But I got to say, I mean, he's 27, so it's kind of the Chris Sabo corollary. He's late when he arrives, basically, but I like TJ Friedel. I like everything he brings to this team. His numbers, if you go look at them, 46 games, he's hitting 321, 370 on base, 491 slugging. The second highest OPS plus on the team after Matt McClain.
I like him. I like him. I don't know. I just like TJ Friedel's a guy that if they could somehow Chris Drury him and
Brandon Drury, but yes.
Brandon Drury. What? Chris Drury's a hockey player, isn't he?
Same difference. It's same difference.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Brandon Drury. If you could flip him into anything at the trade deadline, I think you'd do it. Because he's a good player. He should be on a good team. Be a fourth outfielder on a good team in the playoffs. That would be a really good fit for him. But should not be the start. If he's your starting left fielder for the Reds, they're not going to be winning the World Series.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2 years from now, if he's at the starting or in the outfield, something's gone wrong, maybe. And that sounds like a criticism of TJ Friedel, which is not.
No, I think TJ Friedel is playing the best he can possibly play, and it's pretty good. I just think they need a little bit of a different skill set for this team eventually.
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought really very much about trading him, and I'm not suggesting the Reds necessarily go out and try to trade him. But this year or next year at the trade deadline, he's at his peak, and this is his peak. He's 27, so if you can get something, he's perfectly cromulent, is what I'm saying. But if you can, and even better than that, right now, he's a legit big league player. But,
and he's fun. I mean, he's fun to watch.
He is.
I mean, the team's less entertaining if he goes away. So I like him, but I just think eventually this team is going to need more guys who can hit the baseball over the fence, and he's not going to be that guy.
So what I'm hearing, and let me know if I'm not translating what you're saying correctly, but what I'm hearing is you think he needs to be traded immediately so the Reds can have more at bats available for Nick Senzel,
or cut him.
Just get rid of him. Just designate him for his side.
They already have another TJ.
That's true. That's true.
Redundancies.
That's right. We don't. How many TJs does a team need? So
I think they're called T's J.
Okay, I think that's grammatically correct. Yes,
like attorneys general.
The Reds have two T's J. The other TJ Hopkins, who's not great necessarily. 24 at bats. He's plate appearances. He's barely been here, but he's a guy that was not really on my radar. Just kind of on the periphery before the season. Really looked good in AAA, and he's 26. So what he might be is just like the other TJ, a guy that can be a decent major leaguer for a few years, and that can help a good team. But the Reds aren't yet there. So, but he's fast.
Yeah, I think he's a similar player. I don't think he runs as well, but other than that. Let me
ask you this question: who are the two fastest players on the current team, according to the StatCast metrics? Who are the two fastest Cincinnati Reds? Well,
I'm gonna say Ellie De La Cruz,
number one. That's correct. But who's number two? Friedel and Hopkins are in the mix. Senzel's in the mix, but no.
Benson?
No. Stu Fairchild.
Oh, I just forgot about Stu.
Everybody forgets about Stu Fairchild, and I'm sick of it. Everybody forgets about the stupid Wake Forest Demon Deacon. they're saying Stu Earns. I'm not sure how that.
Oh goodness, Stu.
Yeah, Stu Fairchild. Oh, we got a question about Stu Fairchild in a minute, so we'll get to that. Let's dive into some viewer mail.
Do it.
All right. First, these questions, as always, come from our friends at patreon.com/RiverfrontCincy. That's patreon.com/RiverfrontCincy, where you too can support this ridiculous show. First question comes from Joe Farsing, host of the Riverfront Bengals show. And he has a college baseball question. When do the Cavaliers face UMBC? That's really inappropriate. It's not called for. And I'm moving on to the next question. Because later on, Chris is going to have an opportunity to smack around the University of Virginia Cavaliers as well.
Too soon, Joe.
Kyle Kapler. Have we officially been crawled yet? I like the hashtag or the hash brown get crawled on the Twitters. Also, why is it taking so long for the Reds to trade Will Myers straight up for Johnny Cueto? What are they waiting for? Oh my, I'd be all for that. First of all,
I'd like trade him for Johnny Cueto's horse.
Oh no,
or
too soon.
Zach Kozart's donkey, if it still exists.
It probably does. I don't know.
Donkeys live a long time.
Oh, there you go. Well, Johnny Cueto's horse he perished.
That's right. That's right. My bad. Sorry, too soon again.
Yeah, I don't want him. I don't want him now. I would love to have Johnny Cueto back, even if he's awful. I just want him. The other question is get crawled, and here's what I wanted to ask you, because there's a certain segment of the Reds fan base that is like in love with Nick Krall, and we've been pretty clear here. Certain things he's done in over the last 12 months, pretty good. He made some good trades that replenished the farm system. Wonderful. But when I think of Hash Brown get crawled, I think of, well, he just forgot to get a starting rotation for this season. And the bullpen's been pretty good, but I don't know how sustainable it is because some of these guys are, I don't know, get crawled. Do you have any quick thoughts about Nick Krall?
I was able to do some research, and a donkey's lifespan is 27 to 40 years, which seems really precise. Like the 27 is very specific.
Yeah, that is
low end. So anyway, Kozart's donkey should be just getting into his prime. I mean, I don't know how old he was when he got it, but
yeah,
that's my opinion on Nick Krall.
those are your thoughts about Nick Krall. All right, makes sense. Nick Krall is probably not as bad a general manager as we all expected, but I'm still not seeing a lot to make me think he's perfect, as some people want to suggest. Matt McClain, that wasn't on his watch. Ellie De La Cruz, that wasn't on his watch. Hunter Green.
I have muted, blocked, and tuned out all those people that you're talking about, I think. So I don't hear the Nick Krall fan club at all.
Sometimes I think it's on Chatterbox or whatever that is, whatever that thing's called. And we're not going to get too deep into that. But interesting week for that platform. Yeah, whatever. Whatever. Krall, I like when you do good things, I guess. But
is he still talking?
You don't hear Krall talking as much.
I think he took our advice.
Yes, that was one of my favorite episodes of the show. Nick Krall, bad at talking was the title of that one. Not good at talking. He did have an interview here in the last week or so where he said, essentially, I wouldn't rule out adding players to the trade deadline. That was basically it. Yep. And so
I'm sorry. I'm just right now really wondering if I could get ChatGPT to talk like Nick Krall.
We need to figure that out. Oh my goodness, that might be beyond artificial intelligence capabilities right now because it's so Krallish.
You are Nick Krall.
Hey, did you see about our guy? I want to hear your prompt for ChatGPT.
Explain why you have 3 catchers on the roster right now, and one of them is Luke Maile.
Using Nick Krall. Oh my goodness. The Reds' former general manager, Dick Williams, you see what happened to him this week? Big news.
Isn't he like running Target or something now?
Skyline, interim
Skyline,
CEO.
Something good.
Skyline, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I need to see if
how did that come about? Do we know?
I have no idea.
Does he know the owners of Skyline? Is he the owner of Skyline?
What, his uncle has owned Skyline forever? And,
yeah, I
don't know.
I'm not trying to even be funny, really. Just like it seems like a random leap from whatever he was doing.
It does, and we liked a lot of things that Dick Williams did in Cincinnati. We're not making fun of him at all in any way, but it came out of nowhere. It was weird. So I like Skyline.
I do.
I want to say that.
I like Skyline. I like Dick Williams. So
there you go.
2 great things that go great together.
Well, let me ask you this: what do you like more, a Cheese Coney or Dick Williams?
I'm gonna enjoy the cheese coney with mustard, no onions.
That's the only way to get it. I don't trust people to get cheese canoe with onions. I'm just sorry. I got to say that. All right. So next question. I don't even know where we are. Seth Shaner. The Reds are on a good run here. Joey Votto is presumably close to returning. I've seen the retweets. People think he will ruin the chemistry or whatever. It would likely be coincidence if he were to return and they go in the tank, but my goodness, how hard are we rooting for that not to happen? So tonight, the night we're recording, Votto had another homer, a double in AAA. Looks like he's getting closer to coming back, and I have people dropping into my mentions on that garbage website all the time saying he's going to ruin this. Literally, someone said that. He's going to ruin what the Reds have going right now. Come on. Thoughts about Joey Votto?
Joey Votto ruins a lot of things like paper airplanes and fans' shirts and things like that, but I don't think he's going to ruin the Reds. I do think I mean, I am interested to see what it's like because it is going to be a little bit like, I don't know what the analogy is. Like, it feels like there's been a substitute teacher all year in the dugout, or you know what I mean, in the classroom. Right. And now like the real authority figures coming back and kids have all kind of worked out their culture and their pecking order and their vibes and everything. And now the big boss is coming back and they're going to have to shape up. I mean, it's not like I don't mean it like Votto is some sort of authoritarian leader or even that he's going to say anything. It's just, right. He's a Hall of Famer and they're going to, if he wants to sit in a certain chair in the dugout, guys are going to move to let him sit there.
Right.
So it'll be different.
It'll be different. I think of it, the way I kind of contextualize it in my mind is I think back to 2009, 2010. And Scott Rowland got so much praise for being that sort of veteran guy with the kids, We're not going to get that with Joey Votto because people don't like Joey Votto for some reason. But I like the idea of Joey Votto, as thoughtful as he is about his approach to the game. I love the idea, actually, of him being able to influence these kids right now. I think it's perfect. I can't wait till he's back.
I honestly think the bigger impact might be the other way. I think he is going to be energized by being around these guys and be just like excited about baseball in a different way. I think he's always excited about baseball, but I think it'll be like a different vibe for him that I think he's going to be like excited about it.
That brings to mind my fondest desire for this year's team. I want to see Joey Votto wearing a Viking helmet.
Sure,
that's what I want to see.
I just love this idea of whatever Joey Votto's doing down there in AAA, because he's always got something up his sleeve, and it's like it may be another one of those like I'm going to hit home runs every fourth at bat this summer.
Yeah, he'll come back and hit 400 or something. He'll figure out something he wants to do, or he'll lead the league. Decides I want to lead the league in triples, and
he's only going to hit the ball the opposite field or something,
Right. What a guy. What a guy. Hey, just before we move on to the next question, I think you found out some information about our friend Dick Williams.
I did on the LinkedIn. Dick Williams apparently has been on the board of Skyline Chili since January of 2021 and listed as he's a partner, whatever a partner is. He's been and he's been on the board. So he's been hooked up with them, and he was certainly in the leadership group of that organization. So it was not a leap out of nowhere. If he had accepted my LinkedIn friend request years ago, I probably would have known that sooner.
Please do not ask me to be I don't know if they're friends or whatever they are. Don't find me on LinkedIn. You don't need to see that. But my question is this: Did you see what his first move was as interim CEO of Skyline?
No.
Signed Mike Moustakas to a long-term contract.
Too soon. I think you could pay that guy in Chile.
He should have done that when he signed him for the Reds. Save some of Castellini's dough. All right, Rex Scott. Rex Scott has this question. So, since this is a podcast with no Nate, I noticed that. What can Chad and Chris do without him that will aggravate him about missing out? Whatever you guys decide would be appropriate big brother justice for Chad to meet out. I'm also a big brother, so I was on Chad's side when he was galled at missing out on the baseball movie draft. Yeah, they did a baseball movie draft when I wasn't available. Now, here's the part. Rex, you started out good. I liked your question. But then we get to this. Also, as a fellow Bobcat, I hope that Chris will remind Chad about how we owned the Cavs in March Madness. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Nate or make him because it's his birthday and I don't want to do that to him. But go ahead if you want to mock my alma mater.
I don't think you need to be reminded. I'm sure it's fresh in your mind still.
I like how one of your best players then transferred to Virginia. That was pretty cool.
Well, he'd only been there for like 7 years before he went over your way.
I know. He came to Virginia. Ben Vanderplas is who we're talking about. Yeah. 17 years in college basketball. It was really wild. I don't know how he did that.
Yeah, those guys, they got the COVID 6-year exemption.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right, Rex. I'm sorry. I'm not going to aggravate Nate because it is his birthday. Joey Gaditza, if someone had told you to start the year that Stuart Fairchild would be more productive than Jose Barrero and Will Myers combined, what would you have said? He has value, and I'll never diss him again, even if he went to Wake Forest. Right, Chad? Yes. Screw Wake Forest, we call him. This run has been most fun with everyone getting involved. You get that?
Yeah, it took me a minute.
Although Wake Forest is in the College World Series for the first time since 1952 or something. They were in the College World Series. So Stuart Fairchild pretty much stinks. I mean, well, I don't know. He hits long home runs in Kansas City, but he's 27. He's not that good. He's fast. He's his mom says that he's handsome. And so I'm sure he probably is, but I would never, he's not been good this year. Always had a good little run here in the last week, but yeah, I would never have guessed. I would have guessed that I could have guessed that he would be better than Jose Barrero, but I would not have guessed that about Will Myers. Has been just awful.
I would have said that sounds possible because I did not have high expectations for either Myers or Barrero. But I would have said if that's the case, this team is going to suck.
Right. And you would have been wrong.
I would have been wrong about that. I put money where my mouth is in legalized sports wagering. And I am going to be losing that bet really bad. I took the under on the Reds. They've got to go. Yeah, they've got to play like 350 baseball the rest of the way, I think, to put me out of it.
Well, we've seen the Reds. It's possible. But
yeah, I didn't feel good about betting against them, but I wanted to. I figured they're going to stink. The least I can do is have some money out of it.
You're not going to get the benefit of enjoying actually watching the team.
Right.
So you might as well get something out of it.
So I got the other way. I lose some money, but now I'm happy.
There you go. It's a win-win for you is what you're telling me.
Win-win-win.
All right, next question comes from Rob Chapman. Rob Chapman, which player transaction coming up is going to result in the Reds deciding to go down to 2 catchers? I don't believe they can make a legitimate case for keeping 3 all season. I'd keep Luke Maile, says Rob. There are players the Reds need to get rid of. I don't think people coming up, Nick Senzel, Joey Votto, Christian Encarnacion Strand, potentially. AAA player of the week last week. Jake Fraley will be back. Yeah, there's going to be some guys that have to go. I know that some people, Kirk Casale has not hit well at all this year, to say the least. But Kirk Casale, who we know can manage a pitching staff and who pitchers seem to like, versus Luke Maile, who's 32 years old. Let's not pretend like he's a kid. Who, yes, he's had a couple big hits. I don't see any reason to keep Luke Maile over Kirk Casale at this point. Because what do you want out of your backup catcher? You want a guy that's going to, yeah, right. And, Casale did not allow a single wild pitch when the wild thing, Ricky Karcher, was on the mound. So, at some point, they have to get rid of this 3 catcher thing, right? Again, get crawled.
Yeah, they do have to get rid of the 3rd catcher. I mean, but you're right. There are other places they can cut before then. Here, let me ask you this, and this maybe save this topic for another show if you want, but how much more time do you give Jose Barrero?
I started to ask a version of that question a moment ago, and I wish the Reds had given him more consistent at bats over the last 3 months, just to see, You know, he's only gotten what 100. I looked it up a moment ago. There, 149 plate appearances, 133 at bats, but he's 25, which is still, I mean, it's young. It seems young to me, but he's never at any time, like, you know, we talk about Nick Senzel, how many chances he's gotten. There have been times when you're like, oh, look, Nick Senzel's doing well here for, you know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. When have we ever seen Barrero do anything at the big league level?
That's where I am. I mean, I go like, I want to be sympathetic to the conversation and the argument that, well, he's never had a chance. He's never had, you know, sustained playing time. But the dude was like, bats about 50 last year. I don't think he ever had a stretch where he batted above 275 for more than a week. Like, how much do you have to go down with the ship to let this guy prove that he's what he looks like he is?
It's kind of like that saying, you know, when a guy shows you who he is, believe him, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I don't want to give up because of his age and because of what he did for a period of time in the minor leagues, but and he's not the first guy I would get rid of right now if there's a roster crunch. I mean, Kevin Newman, thank you for your service, but you know, send him packing. But after Kevin Newman and maybe Luke Maile, because we want to get down to 2 catchers, I can't think of anyone else on the active roster that I would get rid of before. I mean, maybe, well, Will Myers is not on the active roster, but I don't know. I mean, I probably would send Ellie De La Cruz down because he had a bad week. But other than that, no. We're at the inflection point with Jose Barrero right now, which is at some point you have to show it. At some point, it's a results oriented game, and yes, they've jerked you around a little bit, and you've never really gotten consistent. But still, when you've had an opportunity, you haven't produced, and you have to produce. So I'm just about the end of my rope with Jose Barrero. All right, one last question here. This comes from Rich Thompson. Rich Thompson, who, by the way, works at the College of William and Mary that we mentioned earlier. Right. Gentlemen, imagine this. Nick Kroll and the Castellinis decide to take their party yacht out for a cruise to celebrate the Reds' recent success. Reds are 1 game under 500. Let's party.
Party yacht. Where do you take a party yacht? Like on the Ohio River?
Just down the Ohio River for a little while. Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
I didn't even want to think about what Phil's doing on a party yacht. Yike.
He's got one of those. He's got one of those Judge Smales hats on. Captain hat, Commodore hat.
That's right. He does. You know he does. Yes. Oh, Judge Smales. Judge Smales. He was sort of my. If you haven't watched Caddyshack, what's wrong with you? But he said he sent some kids to the death chamber. Didn't want to do it. Felt he owed it to them. And I always use that as sort of my guiding principle in my life during the practice of law. All right, whatever. All right, so the Nick Kroll and the Castellinis say, okay, you're in charge while we're gone, and don't break anything. During that time, you get an email from a general manager that says, hey, I'm looking to deal one of my number 2 or number 3 starting pitchers, legit MLB starters, still controllable for another year, but I won't consider a deal unless either Jonathan India, Spencer Steer, or Matt McClain is in your offer. Do you respond? And what do you say? The Reds need pitching, I think, is the first thing I would say here. The Reds definitely need pitching. The pitching is so thin in this organization. It's malpractice, really. Get crawled. What has happened here? This gets into a deeper question about India and Steer and McClain. I'm not trading McClain. I mean, I would trade McClain for the right package, but not for a number 2, number 3 starter probably that you only have 1 year of control over. And I don't know if I trade any of those guys in that situation. Do I trade them for like a guy that's just on the cusp of the big leagues that you're going to have some control over? I'd trade any of them for the right guy. But for that particular question, a number 2 or number 3 starter, you only have another year of control over. Depends on who it is, maybe. But
I don't know. I don't have anybody in mind who fits that description, but maybe Steer goes. I feel like I like Steer. He's a good player, but he's probably the most expendable of all those guys because I think anybody can play his positions. Any of the other guys?
Yeah, they have, and then they have other guys, literally for every position he plays.
I think what I would do is I would go down to the accounting department and I'd start writing checks, and I would take on guys who don't have a year of control. I'd go sign some free agents. I'd take on the payroll, get my payroll back to a normal team's level, and that's where I get my pitching.
Yes. And this is something that we followed the Reds for a long time, so don't count on it happening. But the Reds have one player under contract for next year. I mean, they've got arbitration guys, and but one player actually under an actual contract, and that's Hunter Green. That's the only player for next year. So if they wanted to spend some money, and Ken Griffey Jr. and Bobby Bonilla somehow, the Reds are still paying Bobby Bonilla. I'm not sure what that's about, but if the Reds wanted to take this team, let's say they end up one game under 500 like they are now, which is not possible actually. So 2 games under 500. I don't even want to have this conversation. Just never mind. Forget I asked that because I know what happened. The last time the Reds came close to the playoffs in 2021, they just completely punted on everything. So I'm not going to go out on a limb predicting what the Reds are going to do. But you're right. There should be some room. Castellini has always been kind of cheap, but for a long time, I mean, he was at least in sort of the middle range of payrolls. He wasn't at the bottom. If they just got back to the middle, there's a lot of money available to spend if you want to get back to kind of the mid-range. And you could really you could start filling in those holes around the De La Cruzes. And it's really all pitching, mostly. Maybe an outfielder, but I don't know. The Reds are not going to do it. I hope they do it, but I'm just not going to. Don't count on the Castellinis to do anything until they act. So, Chris, final thoughts here before we call it quits tonight.
No, I just want to reiterate that I'm enjoying the Cincinnati Reds. I'm still not sure when I'm going to get down to the ball yard to watch them in person, but I'm struggling now to try to find ways to watch them at home since I've canceled my cable.
Oh yeah,
but I'm enjoying that they're good.
No, it's fun. It's fun to watch.
They're fun.
It's interesting, and that's all I really at this point after all these years of garbage, just be a little bit interesting, and that's what they are now. I've been boycotting. I haven't been to the stadium since 2019. I've been boycotting Castellini, as we've talked about many times on this show. But when Votto gets back, I want to be there for a game or a series when Votto and De La Cruz are in the lineup together. So I'm gonna suck it up in my boycott probably. So, but whatever. This has been the Riverfront. Thanks to everyone for listening and supporting the show. Tell your friends about us. That's the only way to grow a podcast. A recommendation from a friend. Please do that. If you like us, if you don't like us, just shut up. Subscribe to the show either on YouTube or in your favorite podcast app. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those places at Riverfront Cincy, And thanks to all our patrons over there. Chris, good talking to you, man. Thanks for coming back on the show.
My pleasure.
Shout out to Adam Dunn. Shouts to Lisa Alberto and Wayne Krinchicki and Eli Cash for not Nate Dodson. I almost said Nate Dodson. For Chris Garber and I don't know, Paul Yanish, I guess. This is Chad Dodson saying, so long, everyone.